Hey everybody, it's Karen with Food and Family, and today we're making jambalaya. I went to the store and got everything to make it, and I'm going to read you the recipe. I've got started with some chicken in my pan. I diced it up, cut it up in about 1-inch cubes, and I've got it browning. You don't have to worry about getting it done, but I'm going to read you the recipe real quick. It's 2 cups of white rice. Actually, it's 2 cups of cooked. I put in my rice cooker 1 cup of rice and 2 cups of water, salt it. We start with a tablespoon of olive oil and a tablespoon of butter. That's in my skillet. That's what my chicken's going in right now. A pound of chicken. I didn't use a pound. You can use as much as you want to. 3/4 of a pound of andouille sausage. And I don't use andouille, I use smoked sausage. You can use whatever you want. A medium onion chopped, 2 ribs of celery chopped, a bell pepper chopped. If you want to use bell pepper, great. If you don't, leave it out. I don't use it because I don't care for the flavor of it. A teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I probably used a little bit less. I don't like it real hot. 2 to 3 tablespoons of flour. I usually use 3. I find it does better. A 14-ounce can of diced tomato. I've got 1 carton of chicken broth. I use reduced sodium. Y'all know me by now. You know I use reduced sodium every time I can. I don't know that I'll use the whole carton, but I might use close to it. We'll just have to eyeball it. A teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of chili powder, a teaspoon of poultry seasoning, a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Now you can put shrimp in it if you want to. Sometimes I have a reaction to shrimp. Sometimes I don't. It just depends on how it's cooked. So I'm not going to use it. Salt and pepper to taste. And you can garnish with chopped scallions. I'm going to use regular onion. When I went to the store to buy the ingredients to make this jambalaya today, they didn't have any scallions. Green onions, spring onions, whatever you want to call it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out and we're cooking our chicken. Got it going. Now I cut it up in about 1-inch cubes. I'll let you see what I'm doing here. And it's already starting to brown. I don't know if you can see that or not. And we're getting that going. And I've got my smoked sausage that I'm cutting up. And I cut it in rings. And then I turned around and cut it in half. Or cut it in half first and then cut it, and you know, the piece, and then cut it into cut it up. I'll show you what I'm doing, or I'll try to. I don't know how much you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this sausage this way, and then I'll cut that way. So I'll have 2 pieces of sausage. I'll show you what I'm doing. So see, I cut it in half that way. So I've got 2 pieces. And then I'm going to cut it so where I have the little half moons. Can you see that? And then I'm put them in there, and we want to brown that up. Don't worry if your chicken's not done. It probably will be because it doesn't take it long to cook when it's small like that. And it's I get boneless, skinless. If you can't find boneless, skinless, buy it on the bone. It's easy to take off the bone. Just run your knife real close between the bone and that chicken, and it'll just come right off. Okay, so my sausage is in there. So I'm going to wipe my counter here a little bit. I know I'm fixing to put some more stuff on it, but anyway, we're going to stir that around. I'll turn that up a little bit. Get the heat up on it. So you'll want to stir this around and get a little color. Get your sausage browned. And while that's cooking, I'm going to chop up my onion. So I've got a little more than a medium onion. And I cut it in half. So you got 2 halves. And then what I do is I cut it down this way. And then I chop it this way. You've heard me say before, if you've watched me, there's no reason to cut your onion like this. It's in layers anyway. So why would you want to do that extra step when you don't have to? We'll get that chopped up. It doesn't take but a minute to chop an onion. Then we're going to chop up our celery, and we'll get that going. It's so easy. It's one pot. Other than the pot you cook your rice in, everything goes in here. And if I'm doing something that is not true to Louisiana jambalaya, somebody tell me. This is the way I've always cooked it. We've got friends that are from Louisiana, so I'm sure they can tell me whether I'm doing this right or not. No. See, it doesn't take long, and I'm almost done chopping up this onion. And then we'll get started on that celery. If your celery has leaves on it, use them. There's a lot of flavor in those celery leaves. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid to use them. If I've got the leaves on the celery, I chop it up with the rest of it and throw it in there. Let's get some up here. See how I've got it cut up? I hope you can see that well enough. And maybe did I get too close? So we'll get that in there. I'm going to give it a big old stir. And then we're going to get to chopping our celery. It's like a soup. You just keep layering and layering. But you notice I'm not salting this yet. I'll put some salt at the end if I need to. I find sometimes I don't have to add salt. You've got salt in this sausage. So be careful if you do salt it. You don't want to get it too salty. And we're going to be adding a lot of, I say a lot of spices. We're going to be adding spices. And so it kind of makes up for the flavor of the salt. So you don't have to, I don't think, use so much salt. I may add a little bit, but I won't be adding a lot. I can tell you that. So let's cut off these ends. I don't have pretty leaves on this stalk, so I'm not going to use them. Now I'm going to cut my celery in 3 pieces. I'll go down this way, and then I'll chop it up. I know you've seen me do that. We like celery, but we don't like big pieces of celery. Is that weird? Okay. So I'll show you how big I'm cutting it. It's not very big. It's smaller than the onion. I always chop my celery smaller than my onion. Just scoot it aside and keep going to the next piece. Watch yourself when you get down to the end. So a sharp knife is the best tool you can have in the kitchen, but it can also be dangerous, so be very careful. A dull knife is even more dangerous, I should say. We'll get this in there, and we're going to get that to cooking and browning. Oh, I wish I could smell it already with this onions and this sausage and the chicken with all that butter and oil. Oh yeah, it smells so good. And it's going to taste good. And I know when you make it, it's going to be good. And I hope you do. And if you do, please leave me a comment and let me know how you like it. I would appreciate it. And please follow me. Hit the subscribe button and you can see when I post videos and share my videos. I would certainly appreciate it. Get that little piece there off. And I'm going to put my, I'm going to turn that up a little bit more. So we'll get this sausage and chicken cooking. And I'm going to let it brown up a little bit. And I'll be back in just a minute and we'll add the celery and our spices and we'll get this jambalaya going. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, y'all, this is about ready to put some of our other ingredients in. But I just wanted to come back and show you, if I could show you what it's looking like in this pan. Can you see that? It is, I wish you could smell it. Can you smell it? Oh, it smells so good. But we're going to get that finished up, let it brown just a little bit more, and then we're going to add our flour and all our other seasonings and get our broth and our tomatoes in. And it just doesn't take long to put this together. So, are you guys ready for Christmas? I am. I love Christmas. We went this past weekend and just did a whirlwind shopping trip and got everything done in one day. We had so much fun doing it. We just enjoy it. And we love buying for our kids and our grandkids. And we just had so much fun, just me and my husband, and getting out, enjoying the day together. And then we come home. We have 5 feral cats. And we have a mama and 4 babies. Well, they're not real little babies anymore. They're growing up. But they are the cutest little things if you could just see them. But we keep thinking they can't stay here. What are we going to do with them? But I think we've been had. And they come up and we just melt. And they're just so cute and precious. But we've certainly enjoyed watching them play, and we feed them. You open the door in the morning, as soon as you rattle that doorknob, they come running. They know what that means. They know it's time to eat. They won't let you pet them, but they'll come up around you. But they're just so cute. So how many of you have cats or feral cats? I'm a dog person, actually. And other than the feral cats, we have no pets at the moment. But one day maybe we can have some pets. But these little kitties have just, they've stolen our hearts, I've got to say. Okay, so I think we're ready now. That's getting good and brown. And we're going to put, I've got 3 tablespoons of flour in my little bowl here, and I'm going to sprinkle that over and stir it around. And what that's going to do is help thicken these juices when we put them in there, so they won't be like running watery, but they'll be, you'll have a lot of juice. You just, it'll just have a little thickness to it. So let that flour cook around for a couple of minutes. If you don't, you'll have raw flour taste, and you don't want that. So now we're going to go ahead and add our spices, and it's a teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of chili powder. And I think I'm going to put a little more than a teaspoon of, I bet that light's too bright and glowing on it. Yeah, that's better in it. I'm going to put a little more than a teaspoon of chili powder. And that was about 1 1/4. Let's put in a little bit more. Maybe, we'll say 1 1/2 teaspoons of chili powder. A teaspoon of poultry seasoning. There we go. And now this is where your choice how hot you want it. Now, I'm not going to put a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I'm going to put just about a quarter teaspoon. You want to know, we like to know it's there, but I don't want it to be hot. I don't want to burn. So I'm going to stir these around. You add them before you add your liquid, and that way you'll get, when it's in this hot pan cooking, it kind of, I want to say kind of toasts the spices, and that's not the word that I'm looking for, but it kind of, it brings out the oils and the flavors in those spices. And so it adds a little more to your dish instead of just dumping it in, putting your liquid, and if you'll let it stir around for a minute, and it just releases all that flavor. It doesn't take long, so just a couple of minutes. And just, if that long, just stir it around really good. And you just start smelling all that, the smells, and you'll be so happy you made this. We're going to serve it over rice, and that'll be dinner. And we'll have leftovers, which I'll probably take for lunch tomorrow. That's what I'm doing. I make everybody jealous. What are you eating? I know it hadn't been a couple of minutes, but I think we're good there. Now we're going to add our diced tomatoes. We're going to add our Worcestershire sauce. It calls for a teaspoon. I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to shake a few shakes. More or less, it's not going to matter. Well, I know I've asked this before. Do you say Worcestershire or Worcestershire? I never know how to say it. I just say it's yummy. Oh, if y'all can see how this is starting to look, and I haven't added the broth yet. I'm going to hold it up and let you see it. Come on, need it. Yeah, let's get it. Can you see in that pan right there? See how it's looking? And that color just gets richer and richer. So, we're going to put our broth. Before we put our broth, let's go over this recipe again, because I want to make sure I've got everything. Olive oil, butter, chicken, sausage, onions, celery. Don't use bell pepper or bay leaf. You certainly feel free to use it or not use it. It's your choice. And if you want to use bell pepper, I would say go on the small side of the bell pepper and chop it up like this, about like this celery. You don't want big chunks of it. A bay leaf, if you want. A teaspoon or to your likeness of cayenne pepper. 2 to 3 tablespoons of flour. It doesn't matter if it's all-purpose or self-rising. 1 14-ounce can of diced tomatoes. 1 carton of chicken broth. I use low sodium. A teaspoon of cumin. A teaspoon of chili powder. A teaspoon of poultry seasoning. A teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. If you would like, you can add a pound of shrimp. Don't add it until the very end. It only takes 2 to 3 minutes to cook shrimp. If you add it now, they'll be overcooked and they'll be like rubber. Then they won't be good. So what you'll do is add your broth, and right at the end before you serve it, last 2 or 3 minutes, then put your shrimp over in it, let it cook. They'll go like this to this, make like a C, and they'll turn pink, and you know they're done. Salt and pepper if you want, if you need it, and garnish with some scallions if you've got it. So I've got everything, so now I'm going to add my chicken broth. Let's give it one last stir before we add that in. All we're doing, the longer we cook it, is just deepening that color and the flavor. Remember, I told you to turn your box other way, and it comes out a lot smoother and it doesn't splash as much. That's probably about half of the can. I'll add a little more. That's about 3/4 of the, not can, carton. About 3/4 of the carton. And I'm going to stir this around a little bit. Had a little piece stick to the bottom. We're going to take that out. And you got some good juice in here. Let's see if I can hold it up where you can see it. Can you see in there? We're going to let that stir around. Sit here and simmer for a minute. I'm not putting shrimp in it tonight. And I'll come back and I'll show you how I serve it up. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so that didn't take long. So we got everything going and I've let it simmer for just a few minutes. At this point, if you decide you want to put some shrimp in it, this is when you put it in. Like I said, it only takes like 3 minutes maybe, you know, and it starts like this, it gets pink and it'll form into a C. It'll actually make a C. If you cook it too much longer than that, then it'll be tough. So I think somebody's ready to eat. So I'm going to serve this up and show you what it looks like while we serve it. So I've got my rice cooker. I use an ice cream scoop. So I'm going to fluff it up in the pot. And we'll put just a big old scoop in the pot. Let's give him a little bit more. We'll give him a couple of scoops. Then we will serve a big old helping of jambalaya on top of it. Can you smell it when you come in?
Yum, yum. Yes, I did. It smells good.
Get that
good.
Get that good juice, that broth in there and over it. And I'll let him decide if he wants some onions on it to
oh yeah. Scallions or onions?
I don't have scallions. I couldn't find any at the store, so I'll put a few little onions on
Either
there.
way, it's fine.
It'll give it that little crunch. So, and here's what it, can you see in that bowl? There's what it looks like served up. So, I'm going to get him a spoon and let him taste it. There you go.
Thank you.
So, we'll see if I did good. I think I did. If you could
Always.
If you could just smell it. And see how rich and deep and rich that broth is. Oh, it's so good. And that's what happens when you let that just all simmer and meld together. Is that dinner tonight?
Well, this is yours. I'll take the pot and the big spoon.
Yeah, how about that? All right.
No, it's very good.
All
Smells
right.
good and tastes good.
We'll see. Have another winner. All right. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy it. Again, share my videos. I hope you subscribe. And that way you'll know when I post my videos. And hit the little notification bell. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think about it. I think it's good. All right. See
Very
you guys.
good.
Mwah.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.